Welcome to Michelle's Opinions. Today we're going to talk about 5G, geoengineering, and ask questions. This video partly contains information that is protected under the Fair Use Act and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
Anyone who still thinks and believes that climate engineering is only a proposal from the climate science community should think again and actually investigate what's been occurring in skies all over the globe for decades. Global climate engineering, geoengineering, solar radiation management programs are an absolutely undeniable reality. The ongoing illegal climate intervention operations are decimating the biosphere. This includes further fueling catastrophic forest fires all over the globe. Those who ignore or deny what they can see with their own eyes, the profoundly altered aerosol-sprayed skies, grid-patterned skies on some days, with nothing on other days, are turning two blind eyes to the immense and ongoing climate engineering threat. Jet aircraft spray dispersions are often seen being turned on and off, which countless film captures prove is occurring in skies all over the world. We're not seeing condensation trails. Jet engines are not being turned on and off. We're seeing intentionally sprayed aerosol dispersions that are a primary aspect of geoengineering and solar radiation management. If jet aircraft are being used, in fact, for geoengineering and solar radiation management aerosol spraying operations, they must have nozzles, and indeed they do. In addition to military tankers, commercial aircraft are being utilized in the ongoing geoengineering operations, though commercial carrier personnel do not appear to be in any way involved. Why aren't the climate scientists, like those in the National Weather Service and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administrations, speaking out? In addition to having no First Amendment protection, there is now an illegal federal gag order on all National Weather Service and all NOAA employees. Climate engineering programs are nothing short of weather warfare on innocent populations. And how are these operations further fueling unprecedented wildfires? First, the desiccant particles being sprayed by the geoengineers are drying out the atmosphere and reducing overall atmospheric relative humidity. This graph clearly reveals a steady decline in atmospheric relative humidity from the late 1940s, when geoengineering programs were initially deployed. Atmospheric relative humidity must increase on a warming world. The laws of physics make this clear. The only way atmospheric relative humidity can decline is if there is a factor that's not being acknowledged or admitted to by the experts for reasons already stated. That factor is geoengineering. Climate engineering operations are completely disrupting the evaporative cycle, convection, wind, and thus the entire hydrological cycle. Extreme drought and deluge is now the norm. We're still being told by official sources that the California drought is over, as this recent U.S. Drought Monitor image indicates. The drought is over narrative is being pushed to pacify populations, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Just because reservoirs have more water in them is absolutely not indicative of the state of our bone-dry forests that are dying by the day. Fuel moisture in the forests are at all-time record low levels. Why aren't official sources reporting this? When rain does fall in the forests, it's saturated with the highly toxic heavy metal fallout from the ongoing climate engineering operations. Aluminum nanoparticulates are a primary element named in climate engineering patents. Aluminum is a primary element showing up in precipitation tests all over the globe. Aluminum from climate engineering fallout is saturating forests, soils, changing soils' pH values, poisoning root systems, and killing trees from the bottom up. Geoengineering is also destroying the ozone layer, and this is not conjecture, it's not theory, it's not speculation, rather it's verifiable fact. Though mainstream sources are still not acknowledging the climate engineering reality, the catastrophic truth can't be hidden much longer. How many mainstream media sources covered the severe ozone depletion story? Ozone depletion is also occurring all over the globe. Though this depletion is most profound over the polar regions, the impacts are, as already stated, global and getting worse by the day. The now extreme UV radiation is literally frying and killing trees. The damage is most visible where there is the most exposure to the sun. Different species have various levels of resistance to the rapidly increasing UV radiation levels, which includes UVC, the last band of UV radiation before X-ray. But the signs of the UV radiation damage are everywhere and easy to see for anyone that takes the time to notice. Rapidly increasing lightning is yet another firestorm factor that's directly connected to the climate engineering operations. The atmospheric saturation of electrically conductive materials greatly increases the static charge of the atmosphere and thus creates an easier pathway for cloud-to-ground lightning strikes. Though mainstream sources continue to blame increased lightning on planetary warming, the warming itself is not the primary causal factor for the lightning increase. Geoengineering is. The heavy metal particulate fallout from climate engineering operations is coating forests, homes, rooftops, and everything in between. One of the primary elements of this fallout is aluminum. Lab tests from around the globe prove this. Aluminum particulates or dust are an incendiary. What does this add up to? Climate engineering fallout is covering the forest foliage and everything else with an incendiary or flammable layer of extremely fine particulate dust. Radio frequency microwave transmissions are another aspect of the climate engineering assault that's fueling forest fires. These transmissions can and are heating the atmosphere and creating high-pressure zones and stationary heat domes that accompany these high-pressure domes. These transmissions are responsible for the creation of what has been termed the ridiculously resilient ridge that has consistently plagued the U.S. West Coast for nearly a decade. This completely engineered ridge of high pressure effectively cuts off the rain from the U.S. West. The climate engineers decide where it rains and where it won't. They now control the flow of precipitation and thus the flow of life. PBS and countless other sources correctly acknowledge that human activity is fueling wildfires. But what human activity are they not willing to say a word about? The climate engineering elephant in the room. And though all forms of human activity that alter Earth's energy balance and the biosphere as a whole must be considered forms of geoengineering, in regard to the rapidly increasing catastrophic forest fires, the intentional climate modification programs are by far, mathematically speaking, the single greatest causal factor. In this NASA satellite image, the smoke from the fires can be seen blowing rapidly to the west. Even the marine layer is being pushed far out to sea, with some jet aerosol spraying visible in the upper left of the image. An ionosphere heater-induced ridge of high pressure is fueling the extreme offshore winds that have in turn fueled the firestorm in the U.S. West. Even as some cloud cover moved toward California in the afternoon of October 10th, heavy aerosol spraying was still taking place over the western U.S. and offshore. Geoengineering atmospheric spraying and radio frequency microwave transmissions are creating ever more bizarre cloud formations all over the world, and this is clearly visible on satellite imagery for any who choose to investigate. Portugal is being subjected to the same catastrophic climate manipulations scenario that is being carried out in the western U.S. The fires in Portugal and Spain have been catastrophic. Why would the geoengineers create destructive high-pressure heat domes in some locations? Though the equation is complex, in order to manipulate the upper-level air currents which spin clockwise around high-pressure domes in the northern hemisphere, some regions, at minimum, must be considered climate sacrifice zones in order for the climate engineers to orchestrate temporary and toxic engineered cooldowns in other regions further inland. Who gave them the right to make such life and death decisions? The military-industrial geoengineering complex is completely out of control. Climate engineering is decimating the climate system from top to bottom. The two NOAA departure from normal high temperature maps below are from the last 2 months and show historically unprecedented weather whiplash extremes of heat and cold that flip from one side of the country to the other. Climate engineering is weather warfare, nothing less. Due to the highly toxic fallout from climate engineering operations, these operations must also be considered a form of biological warfare. Planet Earth is under siege by completely out of control power structures around the globe. Weather warfare is a primary weapon for them. There can be no legitimate discussion about the state of the climate without first and foremost including the issue of geoengineering or climate engineering. How can you help to expose and halt the climate engineering programs of planetary omnicide? Arm yourself with credible informational materials from a credible source and share them.
I know many of us don't like that robotic voice, but I've decided to go ahead and let the article be played through the robotic voice, so that way I don't butcher it, and then we'll discuss it after it is all done.
By Paul A. Philips. 5G technology involves the nationwide rollout of thousands of antennas to be used in conjunction with the various supporting appliances and applications in the wireless mobile network. There are, however, serious growing health, safety, and environmental concerns over this developing technology. The FCC, Federal Communications Commission, has given the okay for the telecommunication industry to operate the 5G, 5th generation technology using new spectral frontiers, making the USA the first country in the world to do so. However, operation on this new higher frequency electromagnetic spectrum range has never been evaluated for how it will impact humans or animals and the environment. Quite an appalling circumstance when considering the current wireless technology with its electromagnetic hypersensitivity, as is known to disrupt biological integrity and cause ill health. People's exposures to EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, have been known to result in, for examples, neurological effects, brain tumors, learning difficulties, nervous, hormonal and behavioral problems. It has been said that the same will happen with 5G technology. What about children? They are more susceptible than adults because their smaller bodies take in higher EMF radiation. Thus, if allowed, 5G will be another addition to the list of silent killers associated with deceptively harmful technology. In short, the globalists have a depopulation agenda and they want to cull us off slowly because they can make a lot of money out of it along the way. The new 5G technology, with the mobile network, will change from operating on microwaves at somewhere around 3 GHz to the higher millimeter waves, such as 40 GHz. Millimeter waves can have completely different biological effects. They have been used as military weapons. Armies have directed high-intensity millimeter waves on the enemy, causing them the sensation of skin burn while also affecting sweat ducts. Further, for some years, low-intensity millimeter devices have been used in Russia for therapeutic treatment to alter the patient's cell metabolism, because the new 5G technology pulses more with a higher frequency. It has the potential to increase the likelihood of ill health and make it happen faster. Besides the above-mentioned illnesses, potential harm through 5G technology also includes cognitive decline such as Alzheimer's disease, damage to DNA, cancers such as breast cancer, and much more. Is this the future you want for you, Your family and friends? Is the convenience of faster download speeds from 5G really worth it? Besides ill health, having ties to the transhumanist agenda, 5G serves to link up not only the devices but also humans worldwide into what has been called the Internet of Things, a phrase coined by ex-CIA chief David Petraeus. The Internet of Things is far more than meets the eye. It's a deception. A euphemism for the plans to enslave us in an all-encompassing inescapable technological control grid prison. Unable to escape the control grid, our every thought and movement will be monitored and controlled, all consistent with the technocrats' technocracy agenda. Take action. Remember, 5G technology will be coming to your area. Politicians having political self-interests tied into the wireless corporations have already sold and will continue to sell their souls to the industry to make the technology happen, regardless of the health risks. Thus, the 5G technology is a health crisis waiting to happen, unless you take action to stop it. How about taking action now?
So, in summation, I want to think back. Do you remember when cell phones came out and everybody was using them, and then they came out that they were not good for us, so we should not hold them up against our ear, up against our head, because it caused problems? So then we started using earbuds and speakerphone. It's kind of like that, but they're going from 3, which they were telling us not to hold the phone up against our head, to 40. That's quite a jump. Now, this one is already long enough, so I haven't been able to present a positive side to the argument, so look forward to that coming soon. But I also wanted you to think about, they're saying that America is doing this first. But what came to my mind was the social credit system that is going on, or that we've heard is going on in China. Some things that we need to think about. We have often seen these dusts like all over our plant life outside, and we're wondering, what is this white powder? There's a lot of strange anomalies going on in our skies. A lot of strange anomalies with these unusual fires. There's just so much going on, it's overwhelming. But one thing's for sure, most, if not all of us, have seen a sky where we can play tic-tac-toe on it at some point or another. So this is just brought up for us to think about it. Cancer does not run in my family, but just recently we've got 2 of us that are going through such a thing, where it's not in our family history at all. So some things to think about. And when it comes down to it, I'll take the slower download speed and keep the health of my children and my grandchildren over anything that could be quicker or more effective in that regard. I'm actually going to look back to when they forcefully made us install the smart meter on our home, and how that ties into some other issues that have come about. I recommend that you do your own research, come to your own conclusions. This is just put out there for, you to ponder on. I'm not telling you that this is 100% solid proof. I'm just presenting it to you so you could do your own research and find out for yourself. And all the links that I have used will be down in the show more notes. And always share what you know so we can all listen and grow. I'll talk to you guys soon. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of new postings, premieres, and live shows. If you'd like to sponsor the channel, the links are below. I have both Patreon and PayPal. And thank you, channel supporters. Without your support to keep things going, I don't know where I would be. It's people like you and your generosity that helps the work improve and for us to be able to grow. Thank you.